My lords, today I'm pleased to bring report from Dr. Jacob Taylor aboard the Rising Dawn. Dr. Taylor has discovered a crashed starship which contained various interesting finds, but most notably a lot of dead aliens who it appears were heavily into cannibalism, and added to that some very interesting log entries. I shall detail Dr. Taylor's findings for you now. We have identified a small canyon of sorts, which appears to have been carved onto the surface of the planet by a violent impact of a starship crash. What remains of the vessel can still be found on the canyon floor. Although the crash must have occurred eons ago, the wreckage appears to be reasonably intact. I intend to conduct further investigations in the hope to learn more about this situation. Landing on the planet was not without incident. The planet's uncharted terrain posed significant challenges. An unanticipated gravitational anomaly disrupted the ship's directional sensors, forcing us to bring the vessel in manually. Perhaps this is partially what led to the alien vessel crashing. Nevertheless, we landed safely, and the ship's landing struts have anchored us firmly in place. The planet itself was tropical. The temperatures were locked firmly in the region of 35 to 40 degrees, and humidity was climbing to approximately 80%. Without the environmental suits, we would be sure to succumb to the elements. Furthermore, although the local flora and fauna did not appear directly dangerous, it was nevertheless unpleasant. Crewman Cortez was injured by some sort of worm. Remarkably, it managed to chew its way through her boot lining and into her foot within mere minutes. She has been escorted back to the Rising Dawn and will likely require a cybernetic replacement. Despite the unpleasant surroundings, the sky was quite remarkable at sunset. The jungle appeared to release a form of exotic gas that mixes with the colder air at altitude and then when bathed in the dying sunlight ignited to create remarkable hues of colour. It was quite lovely, I must say. The remnants of the crashed alien spaceship looms in the distance. Its trail of destruction from the crash is partially visible despite the fast-growing jungle around it. We shall reach it within a matter of hours. We finally reached the crash site. The vessel itself is fairly small, only several hundred kilometers in length. It bears markings and designs utterly unfamiliar to us, resembling no known human or alien technology that we have been aware of previously. The construction and material science is advanced, but not beyond our own capabilities. It has durasteel armor plating, but only basic shielding emitters. From the outside, we can see several kinetic and laser gun batteries. It would appear that this vessel was perhaps military, or at the very least was capable of defending itself, if required. The hull, however, shows signs of immense stress. It is likely that something happened to this vessel prior to its descent, causing it to crash. We've made our way inside the vessel. We cautiously stepped through the now shattered access points. The interior was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, however the alien architecture was not that dissimilar to other alien vessels we have captured and explored in the past. The fact that most of the advanced alien life forms are more or less bipedal humanoids meant that ship design is not too dissimilar. Even the Blorg have made their ships suitable for humanoids. Ironic, as no one really wants to be their friend. Dull blue lighting flickered throughout the labyrinth of the corridors. Although the ship had no energy signature, it appeared to be some sort of bioluminescence, self-sustaining after all this time, even after the ship crashed and died. Quite remarkable, and will be interesting for further study. As we venture deeper into the starship, we have begun to find artifacts and objects of undetermined function. Some are likely personal effects of the crew. We have also found skeletal remains. These discoveries have been carefully catalogued, and samples are being taken back to the ship for further analysis. I cannot help but speculate about the purpose and origin of the vessel. Is it a scientific research craft, an explorer, or something entirely different? Eventually, we reach what we assume to be the ship's bridge, and happily for us, the ship's log computer remains intact. Work has begun translating the various logs that the ship's computer holds, and I shall detail them for you now. Captain's log. We made forced landing on the planet 5523X. Incompetent crew to be blamed. Shadba, Vauxhall, and Dibrak III did not survive landing. Privax lost 2 secondary appendages and has lost 11 of his eyes. He remains in critical condition and survival is doubtful. Rest of the crew are fine and I await rescue, but I am surrounded by idiots. I am very depressed. Another log has been translated. This time it comes from the first mate. First mate Yithar speaking. The captain has been safely stowed in utility closet C. That bumbling fool is to blame for everything. I am in command now. Chief Engineer Zabla is working on a subspace transmitter. Without one, I fear we'll never get rescued as we're too far off the corporate trade routes. Privax has lost another eye. He likely won't last the day. Another log entry, again from the first mate. We are running out of food. We ate our dead 5 cycles ago, but it was not enough to sustain us. We had a vote, and we decided to eat the captain. Engineer Zabla is still working hard on the subspace transmitter. She assures me it is nearly complete. It looks very complex. Privax's last secondary appendage has shriveled up and turned magenta. Death is clearly near. Another log entry, again from the first mate. I confronted Engineer Zabla about the subspace transmitter. It turns out she just shoved a bunch of junk and loose cables into an empty fuel canister. She's not even a real engineer. Privax is now leaking fluids from his mesothorax. He will surely perish soon. I am envious. Another log has been translated, but this time it comes from the third mate, named Uxla. First mate Yithar committed suicide by ripping off his own antennas yesterday. Technician second class Miserva declared herself empress shortly afterwards, but food riots forced her into exile on the lower decks. Our situation is very bleak. Cannibalism is widespread. Privax has now turned entirely magenta. His lower abdomen violently exploded yesterday. He should be dead, but he is not. He is now being worshipped as a deity by Gamma Shift. And now the final log entry has been translated. Patrol log, Officer Gilgam. We detected crash vessel on 5523X and moved to investigate. The vessel was identified as the Ravink, a Class P modular freighter. We found a single survivor in critical condition, identity confirmed as Privax. The remaining crew either perished in the crash or turned on each other shortly before our arrival. As per standard protocol, I leave this log here and register the Ravink as a protected gravesite. With the logs in the ship's computer fully translated, we have begun exporting the interesting bits of alien technology and alien remains back to the Rising Dawn for further investigation. We have not yet identified the empire these aliens belong to, and it is likely that they, like so many others, have come and gone, destroyed by time. Thanks for watching, folks. If you want to hear more Stellaris lore and Stellaris stories, please click the video on screen now.